The ayes are 294 and the nays are 134. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will. Hope that you're doing well. Much love, and wish you success and happiness in everything you do. This is just a little update. You know, we got something to celebrate today. The Clarity Act passed the House. This is a big step for the United States of America as the nation continues to progress into understanding the value of the crypto industry. So I just wanted to give people a little update about what this means, some information about the Clarity Act, some of the good, some of the bad, some of the unclear, and hopefully, this is helpful to some of you out there who are interested. Either way, hope that you're doing well. So look, in the United States, I think for most people who are, paying attention to, regulation and how things are moving forward, it's still very unclear, the classification of tokens. Are they security? Are they commodity? Are they something else entirely? This makes for very difficult work for founders and investors and users based in the US. There's unclear legal definitions of what and when a token is a security or not. So under the framework of the Clarity Act, a token can launch as a security, but if it becomes decentralized enough with no single person or entity in control, right, it can eventually be treated as a non-security. This is really important as projects get hit with enforcement, even when they're trying to follow the rules. I think one of the examples of this is obviously the Ripple case. In 2020, Ripple Labs sued by the SEC, claiming that they were an unregistered security. The case drags on for years. The Clarity Act would help teams pave a path towards decentralization without the fear of situations like this happening, and the stress and ambiguity that comes with that kind of lack of clarity and transparency. This is a first step towards crypto native regulation in the United States, and it puts community, it puts the people, and it puts decentralization at the core of American innovation. So yeah, the Crypto Clarity Act, it's a step in the right direction. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, right now it's passed through the House. It passed the House Financial Services Committee. It now has to go into the Senate, and it's, the way that the legislative process works in the United States, goes through the House or it starts in the Senate, then it has to go through the other. They have time to, make suggestions, amendments, and then eventually, if both the House and the Senate vote it through, it goes to the president's desk. At a time where crypto is gaining global adoption, this saw a lot of bipartisan support. I don't think folks were really anticipating how much bipartisan support this was going to receive, but I think the United States government is starting to see the detriment to lagging behind on this innovation and not participating in this industry more holistically. And so, they're taking steps in the right direction to, work with our industry and move things forward and make, the U.S. a hub for innovation, as it always has strived to be. So the Clarity Act would have spared a lot of legitimate projects in the past from years of legal clarity. It attempts to turn vague enforcement into actionable rule, and it tries to give compliance without killing innovation, with the point of a good bill, right? Now, with all bills, there's two sides to the coin. There could be risks associated. I think it's important to go through some of those. So for starters, one of the issues that could arise is that there could be a false sense of security for teams. They might not understand the language of the bill, thinking that they are safely decentralized, not understanding that they might not qualify. The thresholds of decentralization aren't clearly defined, and they could be interpreted differently by regulators. So teams might still face enforcement. It's just a matter of time, and it's also a matter of figuring out the bill. A project might assume compliance and then find out that the SEC has a stricter view of what qualifies for sufficiently decentralized. The act itself is a federal act. It's a federal securities law act, right? So it would only affect U.S. federal securities law. This doesn't affect CFTC. This doesn't affect state level regulation. There's things like AML and various different rules that it doesn't directly impact. And so teams may still face compliance obligations or limitations, even with the passing of the Clarity Act. So there's a lot of potential pitfalls with all things in government. Even if it passes, the SEC might take, months or even years to fully define and apply the law through rulemaking. And so regulatory uncertainty could still persist in the short term. We're not out of it yet. The bill isn't passed. So enforcement could still continue to, be stifling in the short term. The definition of decentralization could be too rigid. Innovative token models might, be stifled. It all depends on the way in which that the bill is finalized when it eventually gets to the president's desk. It could be watered down. It could be blocked. It could be replaced. The SEC could push back. An administrative change in the future could undo it and shift the policy direction. So there's a lot of unclarity still to be had. And I think the important part of this all is to look at this with a grain of optimism. This is a step in the right direction. I'm proud of the United States of America, my home, my country, moving forward and thinking about the people and thinking about our industry and working with us and moving forward together. So shout out to America. Let's fucking go. American-made movement, American-made crypto. Let's get it, y'all. I will put some information in the chat for folks who want to be more educated, and we'll do my best to continue to keep you guys in the loop for folks that are interested. And regardless, much love to all of you, and G-Move all. Let's fucking go.